Well, we have a trade here from the other day, which I kind of want to talk about. Yeah, I know we don't really talk about NFC East too much on the channel because I'm really focused on our own roster and really going into the season. But Trey Lance was traded from the 49ers to the Cowboys for a fourth-round pick. Interesting enough with the 49ers, I mean, Brock Purdy doesn't even have 2 years under his belt and is already they have escalated this guy so far to be something that we don't know if he's going to be anything special. Because to be honest with you, they've had their choices. If at the end of the day John Lynch is gonna lynch himself, literally, because they had Garoppolo. I understand there were some injury concerns with him on a contract that he was on. I totally get that when he was there, when he arrived there. I get it. And then obviously, they moved on. They wanted to go for, Trey Lance. Brock Purdy shows up in the draft. They drafted him. Trey Lance gets injured. Brock Purdy takes over and has some magical year with a perfect situation around him. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. You build around your quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do. But to throw all your eggs in one basket on Brock Purdy is probably the biggest mistake, because I'm telling you, with quarterbacks, for me at least, you have to give it at least 2 years. 1 year is not enough. Guys like Malik Willis with Tennessee, guys like that, they've given up on guys way too early. Obviously, if you switch GMs, sometimes decisions are made to where, oh, well, that's not the type of player I want. I don't want him here. So you never know what could happen at this point. The Cowboys finally maybe are waking up a little bit. And I think some of the, Cowboy fans are not really waking up. They're taking this more as entertainment. The Cowboys are back in the news now because this is now all they're going to talk about. Really, this makes it worse for Dak Prescott at the end of the day. Dak Prescott is the weakest link to that offense, and I don't care how good Dan Quinn's defense is. You played the 49ers last year in that playoff game. Defense was lights out, and your offense could not produce, and Dak Prescott is just not good enough. I think we all know this by now. It would be nice to hear that. It's absolutely amazing because, to be honest with you, 80 to 85% of Dallas Cowboy fans in Texas, okay, do not think highly of Dak Prescott. You just have these guys that go on the internet and they yell all this crap about Dak Prescott and how good he is. And he's had a bad camp. It hasn't been a fantastic camp. I don't know how many picks he's thrown, but it's been a lot. Okay. And I'm not saying he's going to get benched this year, but trading a fourth-round pick for Trey Lance was a good move because now there's opportunity here. So if they want to get rid of Dak after this year, you have Trey Lance for one more year left. Technically right now they have Trey Lance for 2 years. This year, next year. If they bench Dak during the season this year, Trey Lance can get a shot. If they get rid of Dak after this year and Trey Lance is starting quarterback, this is going to be better for them. And if Trey Lance plays lights out for the Cowboys, next year or something like that, they won't have to pay him that much money. So they could really build a team very nicely if they make the right decisions. The Cowboys aren't known for going in the free agency and getting a bunch of guys. And, they've locked up some players this year, but you still got to pay a few other guys. Still got some free agents going into next year. So if they're moving on, they could move on. And Trey Lance plays lights out. They won't have to give him a big contract because he, hasn't really had a fantastic, so far 2 years now going to the third year of his contract now with the Cowboys. So, I'll be unbiased as possible because with the Dallas Cowboys now, it's really the weakest link to Dak obviously Dak Prescott in that offense, Mike McCarthy calling the plays this year, and, they're hoping to get a run game going because Dak Prescott throwing the ball, 38, 45 times a game is it's going to be a loss. The guy's not going to survive games that way. Can't put it on his shoulders. I don't think you can put on anybody's shoulders going forward. They want to get Deuce Vaughn involved in that run game. They want to get, Tony Pollard coming off the broken leg, whatever it was from last year. So, I mean, Cowboys have dealt with some injuries as well this year. So this is bad news for the Eagles fans, bad news for the Philadelphia Eagles, good news for the Cowboys because it was a good move at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna just rip on the Cowboys, just because I'm an Eagles fan, but I'll be realistic at the same time. I'm not going to say that this was a bad move. It really wasn't, because maybe the Cowboys are finally starting to realize, maybe this was a push for Dak Prescott. This move is more of a push, like a nudge to Dak saying, It's crunch time, bro. We need to get something done. Get past the second round of the playoffs and do something. Okay, I know what it's like to be a Sixers fan not getting by the second round of the playoffs, so I totally get it because the Sixers are pretty much the Cowboys, the Cowboys of the NBA. Okay, so I get that whole entire thing. So this is either like this is a scare tactic, a warning tactic towards Dak Prescott because you're not bringing in this guy. You're not trading a mid-round. You're trading a mid-round pick. That's a for my book that's a pretty high pick. Obviously Trey Lance was drafted a lot higher, but I'm saying you drafted a mid-round pick. For him and taking a chance to see what he could do for that team in the future. Hopefully Dak Prescott plays not great, not bad, but just in the middle where he's up and down. This way he keeps a nice contract, he gets a nice extension, and he'll be there for years and years to come. But if Trey Lance becomes a starting quarterback next year and they're just like the Cowboys are putting pressure on Dak Prescott, doesn't do much of anything this year, especially if he doesn't win a division. The Cowboys should win a division. I mean, Cowboys should win, should get into the playoffs this year. Sorry. They should be in the playoffs regardless. Okay. They have a good roster. I don't care if you add a Stephon Gilmore. I don't care if you add a Deuce Vaughn. I don't care if you add a Brandon Cooks. Like it's the excuses are done for Dak Prescott. Just done. You know what I mean? I just don't get. I just even his training camp, even this past offseason, he hasn't had a strong training camp. People are going to be like, oh, the defense is making all these plays. I mean, Jalen Hurts doesn't even get picked off that much. I mean, the defense makes plays on Jalen Hurts, but holy shit, dude. Like, we were getting laughed at when we drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. We got laughed at. Cowboy fans laughing at us. That it's just, the quarterback factory and all the crap that was said that year. And we were paying our franchise quarterback, then drafted a quarterback, and we were a total mess, and we didn't know what we were doing. And look what happened at the end of the day. And this same thing could happen to the Dallas Cowboys. It could happen the same exact way. Now, I don't think Trey Lance is going to... Me, personally, I don't like him as a quarterback. I feel like there could be something there if they bring him along. I think it comes down to the coaching aspect of how they bring Trey Lance along, and I think that's going to make the difference. But if Dak Prescott, never mind, doesn't get to the playoffs, or doesn't even get to the playoffs this year, I think he's gone. I honestly think he's gone. I gave it another 2 years. I gave it between this year and next year. He could be going after this year, but I gave it like 2 years with Dak Prescott. Okay. You know what I mean? So maybe they're starting to wake up a little bit, but I don't, you need the pressure. You can't guarantee job security with a guy like that. It feels like Dak Prescott is he's always guaranteed job security. Make him nervous. Draft some guy behind him. I mean, well, they got a guy right now. You know what I mean? Has had one, injury, and then really hasn't had a chance after that. I think the 49ers are going to definitely screw themselves on Brock Purdy being their starter. Like, not even a full season, and they're already kissing his ass. Already kissing his ass with barely any game. You know what I mean? He's played some games, but still, like, you got to give this thing a couple years before you start saying, like, it's too good to be true that a 6th-round pick is going to turn to something that's special. I'm sorry, or whatever he was. To me, it's just, I think that was a big L on the 49ers part. Now, this might sound like a win for the Cowboys right now, but it's not a win until we see what happens. If Dak Prescott, loses the same way he does in the playoffs every year, losing the second round, or doesn't even make it to the playoffs, I think this is literally a Super Bowl or bust year for Dak Prescott because the offense has good weapons. The defense is a great defense. Dan Quinn behind it is a very good coach. So that's my take on the whole thing with Trey Lance going to the Cowboys. It sucks. For us, it really does. But in a non-biased matter, it's a great move for them. There's no doubt. I mean, how can you not make a move like this? It was very surprising. There's no doubt. So maybe it's a warning sign for Dak that he's got this year is the year. You know what I mean? The Cowboys aren't the type of team that's going to go out in free agency and spend a lot of money. They just don't do that. And then this year was like, they actually made a couple moves this year. They actually went and made some moves. They obviously were locking players up for the future, but they were making moves, obviously getting Stephon Gilmore, getting Brandon Cooks. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? And they drafted Deuce Vaughn, so it's definitely going to help. And they draft Mozzie Smith, is going to help with the run defense. So, there's I think there's a lot involved with it. But with Trey Lance, it's really how the coaching staff is going to bring him along going forward. And, that's my take on the whole Trey Lance to the Cowboys. It's a good move. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, it really is a good move. So, we want Dak Prescott to be right in the middle where he's playing okay, but he's not, but he's playing pretty bad at the same time. That's where I kind of want him. I want him at a medium, I want him kind of medium. It's not even staying consistent. I want him going up and down, up and down, up and down, literally play style wise all year. Because God forbid, you never know, this guy can get benched. It could happen. Give it time. You never know. It could happen. We'll see down the road. Let me know what you guys think about this trade. And then really, an unbiased opinion, or if you want to be biased, that's perfectly fine. I want to know in the comment section below, do you think this is a good move by the Cowboys? Do you think this is bad for the Philadelphia Eagles? And do you think this is really pressuring Dak Prescott? And really, I want to ask you guys this, as Eagles fans too. Do you think signing Trey Lance is literally, and I don't think, whether they told Dak or not, we'll find out, or maybe we'll never find out, but is giving, trading for Trey Lance kind of giving Dak Prescott kind of a warning sign of, yeah, you're going to have to do something this year. Otherwise, you have someone behind you that's going to take your job. You know what I mean? There's only so many years you can just stick with a quarterback. Obviously, the front office needs to build around that quarterback and give this, more moves, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know why Cowboy fans have to backtrack and make it now entertaining. Oh, now it's entertaining. Now it's Trey Lance will be great future piece. Now they won't say anything about Dak. They'll just say it's a good move by the Cowboys, but they know why. There's a specific reason on why they did this move. Okay, I mean, they waited way too damn long to do this move, or a move like this, because there was no way the Cowboys were going to go into the draft and give up a bunch of draft capital to move up in the top 5 to get a quarterback the past couple of years anyway. So that's the realistic side to everything. So, guys, let me know in the comment section below. If you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.